What is up, woke family? It's your boy Wokey Bucks, and I'm back again with another live stream. So the topic that will be discussed this live stream today is in regards to why women giving birth is a punishment by God. A lot of people don't understand this, right? And I know it wasn't taught growing up, but the reason why women giving birth is a punishment by God is if you read the Bible, right, in Genesis, I believe it's in Genesis chapter 1. Eve basically sinned against God, right, in the Garden of Eden, because God told Eve and also told Adam, don't eat the tree, don't eat from the tree, the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. And what basically happened is that the serpent, in the form of the devil, aka Satan, basically manipulated Eve into telling Eve that if she eats from the tree of knowledge of like in the Garden of Eden, if she eats from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that she'll be equal to God and she'll have the godlike powers that God has himself. So then after that, after the serpent, aka Satan, told her those things, then from there, Eve, right? Obviously Eve being a woman, and the women from back then aren't as different from the women of now. They were easily susceptible to the demonic forces of the world, right? So what she did is that she went to go eat from the tree of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. And then once she ate from the tree of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, she gave to her husband Adam, with Adam not really knowing too much whether the tree or whether the fruit was from the tree of the fruit of knowledge, right? So he also ate the fruit. And then after a while, they became NAKED, right? If you don't know what that is, sound it out. So once they became NAKED, then from there, God asked them, why are you hiding, right? Because they basically went to go hide between like fig bushes after they were NAKED and they figured it out. And when God asked them, why are you hiding? They basically told God they were NAKED. When they told God that they were NAKED, God asked them, how did you know that you were NAKED? Then from there, that is when God realized that they had sinned against him and they had eaten from the tree of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden, right? When God figured this out, then from there, God basically expelled them from the Garden of Eden and basically punished the woman Eve, right? Before he punished them, he also asked them why they ate from the tree of the fruit of knowledge and good and evil. And what did Adam tell uh, God? Adam told God that Eve had given him the fruit. And when God had asked Eve why she ate from the tree of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, what did Eve do? Eve basically said that the serpent had tricked her. And some might say that that might be true or that might not be true. But the similarity between back then in the olden days and now in 2022 is that women basically never take accountability for their actions, right? So when God asked her, why did she eat from the tree of the fruit of knowledge and good and evil? She could have done two things, right? She could have decided to answer it truthfully. And even though I'm not saying that she didn't tell the truth by saying that the devil tricked her, but the point is that she should have taken accountability and said that I ate from the tree of the fruit of knowledge and good and evil, and I apologize for doing so. I know that I've sinned against you because you told me when you created me out of Adam's rib that you do not want me to eat from the tree of the fruit of knowledge. But instead of her to take accountability, she blamed it on the serpent, like the serpent, aka the devil, like Satan and his demonic forces through that serpent were forcing her and holding a gun to her head and telling her, "You need to eat from the tree now. You need to eat from the tree now." Right? He wasn't there to force you to eat the fruit. And I'm not saying that what the devil did was right because obviously he's a demon. He's a demonic evil force. He obviously manipulated her, right? But he didn't force her to eat the fruit, right? And if Eve at that point in time had taken accountability of her actions, I honestly believe that it would have been ingrained in women of modern day now in order to be able to take accountability of their actions, especially when they know that they're wrong in a situation, right? God knew that she was wrong. And instead of her to take accountability, she diverted it to the devil. And I believe that's why God created the consequence for women to be able to give birth to children or give birth to children, right? Because God did it as a consequence of Eve disobeying him and eating from the tree of the fruit of knowledge and good and evil. I personally believe if Eve had not disobeyed God and eaten from the tree of the fruit of knowledge, even after the devil had told her what he told her, right? I think God would have created children through men. How? When God originally created Adam and Eve, God created Adam and Eve. Well, God created Adam first, right, from clay, in the same way that we return to clay, or yeah, right. And then from there, God created a woman, the first woman on earth, Eve, right? God created Eve through Adam's rib. So if God was able to create Eve, which is a woman, out of a man's rib, then how do men come from women? One have to really ask them, especially now, right? It doesn't logically make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. So I honestly believe that a woman and men as well too would have started to be born through men, right? They would have been created like, because obviously he was created through Adam's rib, right? Then from there, I'm pretty sure God would have put other people in to be in a situation where they would have come out of the man's rib. Everybody would have been producing the man's rib. Everybody would have been producing the man's rib, right? Because obviously, when God created men and women, I'm pretty sure He had a plan for the way He wanted people to be able to be born and reproduce from that point on. But with that being said, women giving birth to children is a consequence of Eve sinning against God by eating the tree of the fruit of knowledge. But like I said before, women since the beginning of time have never taken accountability for their actions, right? And it's especially worse now in modern day because those are traditional times, right? Now we're talking about modern day times. It's a lot worse because the thing is that a majority of women in the society now view all men the same and think that they can try to finesse and finagle every single man, right? A woman's game is manipulation, right? So a woman will try to use manipulation in order to be able to swindle the dude and make him seem like he's a lame, right? Or he's not a person of value. But then when she comes across that man that actually makes her prove her value, she ends up folding, right? Like for instance, let's say you as a man were to take a woman out on a date and she were to show up 5 minutes late or even flake. What she'll try to tell you is that I'm sorry, this and that happened, instead of taking accountability for her being late and valuing your time as a man, especially a high value man at that. That's why women only use manipulation as a tactic to be able to manipulate men. So it's just like her coming on the court and trying to do a spin move as Kobe Bryant or LeBron James on every single person. If you're a smart and wise basketball player, and this same person is always trying to use the same move on every person, you're going to study that person and you're going to figure out how to be able to lock that person down and defend them and figure out where to stop them, right? And once you figure out how to stop them, then from there, you've been able to crack their code. So that's how it is basically with high value men. High value men are going to make the woman prove themselves more to them. And they're going to hold them accountable because obviously women don't have the ability to hold themselves accountable. We just saw it in the Bible verse, obviously, or we just saw it in the Bible story that I was just telling about Eve not holding herself accountable for her sinning against God. Like anybody forced her against her will to sin against him. No, she willingly decided to do it because women, like I said, are easily susceptible to demonic forces compared to men. We as men, we need to see facts. We need to see evidence before we engage in any activity, right? Women are just easily swayed. And that's the way that they were created, right? So with that being said, I mean, it is what it is. But one really has to be careful of what they indulge themselves into, right? What was the purpose of this message tonight? The purpose of this message was to really have people understand the reason why women give birth on a daily basis. And on top of women giving birth, I think it's important for not only men, but women to just really be able to focus on how they can become a greater version of themselves. When it comes to women, learn how to become a more feminine and submissive version of yourself in order to be able to attract the right type of man in your life. And we as men, we have to continue to trust God in every aspect of our life, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, right? And continue to focus on our purpose so we can become the most spiritual, woke men that are high value from the Most High God, and He'll place the right type of woman in our life when that time comes. But if we're not focusing on improving, if we're not focusing on leveling up, if we're not focused on getting better, how can He bless us in due time? A lot of people want to be blessed, but they're not ready to put in the work in order to be able to have that blessing come to them from God. It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. It's not going to just happen because you want it to happen. You have to put in the work, right? So my message here is start to put in the work in order to have God change your life, and He's going to bless you abundantly. Stay locked in. Stay focused. This is 2022. We have a bright, bright future ahead of us, only if we allow ourselves to stay locked in. Don't allow yourself to get swayed over by the demonic forces of this world. Trust in God. Live a godly life. and allow him to bless you abundantly in this your lifetime, right? If you understand, it's because you woke. If you don't understand, you're not woke. This is going to be in this live stream. If you like this live stream, make sure you go spam that like button, leave comments, share this live stream with your friends, subscribe to the channel at Woke Ebuks, WOKEEBUKS, and tap the notification bell to get all the latest videos that I post. Patreon link will be in the description below, and social media links. So make sure you go give those a check. But without further ado, this is going to be in this live stream. This is Woke Ebuks, and I'm out, man.